Hello and welcome to the Road to Rec League podcast. I'm Callum, and in today's episode, we're going to be talking about my return to the ice. So after a week away and doing some much needed rest and recuperation, looking after myself, I say try and do the right sorts of things and just rest a little bit. Switch off, not from hockey in general, but from skating and the effort it takes to do that part of, I guess, learning, I suppose. It's been a good week. It's been a really good week, actually. So there's a few things I want to cover off. I've had a couple of sessions on the ice. Went and supported the team for an away match, which was fun. So I went down with them, got on the bus, and we'll get all into that later on. And then talk a little bit about sort of fitness and wellness stuff. Not been massively progressive this week, but it's actually been really good. Talking to a couple of other people about it, and also I've put some good prep work in, even just today, Sunday, to be able to look forward to the week ahead. So we'll start with, I guess, my first session back. So hopped onto the ice with the team I'm registered with in our rec league, and it was really good. Obviously, first session back in 10 days, I think it was, and we do this great drill for warm-ups, which is really helping me actually just try and get on my outside edge of my outside foot when I'm turning, doing sharp turns. So I'm still not there, but it's pushing me to try it more. So we do figure of eights, and basically you skate between two guys, and you do one-touch passes or quick passes where you can. And I really, really like it. So it's a very helpful tool for just getting skating in, and it also, your legs kind of start to ache a little bit towards the end of your effort. So it's really good for just being active and putting the effort in. I wish I could do more of that sort of stuff, honestly. So yeah, really helpful. We did a new drill as well. So it was 1-on-1, 2-on-2, 3-on-3, and basically you've got a pair of skaters down by one face-off dot. Well, the bottom of the face-off circle of a defensive zone. You've got one on the other side mirroring them, and you've then got one at the top middle of the blue line. And basically, you start with a puck in each area, and you start with the left-hand face-off dot duo going 1-on-1. So one person skates with the puck, one person defending. And then once that play is dead, so essentially they shoot and miss, score a goal, or the play's broken up by the defender, the person on the other face-off dot then takes their puck and it turns into a 2-on-2. And again, exactly the same principle. When the play is dead, the last pair join and it's a 3-on-3. It was actually a really fun session. So I got to do a little bit of 1-on-1, a little bit of 2-on-2 and 3-on-3. And it was just a nice way of sort of, you're almost like you spawn into a situation, which was quite cool, because you don't exactly know how the 1-on-one's going to end. So you have to make a decision in that split second with the puck. And I was on the attacking side for all of my reps, which was good in some ways. Obviously, defending's important too, but the bit I feel I need to work on is how I create offensively. So that was really good, and I wanted to work on that for this session. I got a lot from that, but like I say, really encouraging. Really enjoyed that. So there was that, and then in that drill, actually, I got absolutely robbed, which was gutting. So when was it? It was like, it was a really nice bit of play, and I think it was a 1-on-1. Like, I cut inside on the person I was skating against, and they were of a similar sort of level to me. So I cut inside and sort of caught them off guard a bit, and then drove the net, elevated the puck top left corner, and it went off the stick, which was, yeah, not ideal. And then I had a really good one where I actually scored on the drill, which was cool. And so basically this was our 3-on-3. So I drove the net, screened the goalie, and then the guy passed basically across slot, and it looked like it was going straight to the other player. But there was another guy between me and the other player. So the goalie starts shifting his weight over and basically goes down and slides to cover off a shot from the other guy. And I basically go forehand, backhand while I'm facing away from the goal, and then just basically like no look backhand pass it into the net, which was really cool. And I got some really nice compliments, actually. A couple of people were like, "Oh, what a crazy finish!" And then this is after watching a couple of games with like Gabe Velarde doing some pretty wild stuff with his hands. So I felt in that moment when you feel like, "Oh, I've nailed that," and I bet if I looked at it, it was okay, but definitely not how it went in my head. In terms of how I'd like it to have looked, it was essentially on the ground, but there was enough deceit, if you like, in the move that it wasn't easily picked up by the goalie and ended up scoring, which is great. But yeah, I got multiple people being like, "Oh, great finish, good job finishing that one off," and all that sort of stuff. So I think it sort of caught people off guard a little bit. But I think, like I've said for the last 27 episodes, I don't feel like my hands are a million miles away from where they need to be anyway. So, but it's really encouraging to get that kind of affirmation, I suppose, and sort of put that kind of work in and then get the result I want from it. So it was a nice little play and a nice goal, and it actually really connected. So the guy passed that puck into the slot. Like he and I actually hooked up on a couple of different plays like that in drills, and a couple of times in the game as well, I think. So it was that kind of, when you just sort of start to not ping off at someone, but you get that kind of chemistry. I don't know if that's the right phrase, but you just think on the same wavelength, I suppose. We hooked up some really nice bits in training actually. So I was really encouraged by that. Long way that continue. So I had that, which is really cool, and like I said, just some nice effort generally. Scrim was awesome, obviously great fun, good to be back out there putting in the effort. Did set up the break of a really nice 3-on-2. So I did a cross ice outlet pass, and started skating in. Obviously that guy then took the puck to the net, and fed it back to someone else who fed it across to me, and the puck bobbled over my stick as I went to shoot. So I caught like just the top edge of my blade on the puck. I was genuinely gutted because I was right there, back post. All I had to do in my head was elevate the puck, and it's a goal. But I just couldn't. I say it just bobbled as I went to swing, and I was a bit gutted by that. But a couple of opportunities like that with some really nice bits of play here and there. A couple of guys saying, "Look, you can see it's starting to click a little bit." I'm still thinking about that bubble puck though, because a really nice opportunity. Because not just because of the finish, obviously, but the actual whole play, like doing that cross ice outlet pass to start the play off, and pitching it in front of him for him to skate onto. It came off the boards, so it was a little too far in front, but he was quite closely marked. But I knew he had legs, so it was kind of nicely just worked. And then me being that last man in or first to the net, I guess. It was just a really nice play, and it doesn't always come off like that, I guess. So that was really encouraging. I say really encouraging. And then my legs were absolutely fucked. Basically, I think it was 10 minutes of scrimmaging, and I was like, "Oof, I don't know how much I'm gonna have in me." So that was really good to be aware of that. And my hope really is to, work myself into a position where I don't get fucked legs as quickly. And then I had training again on Friday afternoon, which was awesome. So I say awesome. I mean, the drills were a little bit clunky. We did a passing and shooting drill, so a couple of different ones of these where basically you start on the blue line, you skate in, receive a pass. It's kind of like, it's a bit like a horseshoe, but it had a lot less flow to it, and a lot fewer people got stuff done. And then we did the same sort of thing, but you pass your way around the neutral zone. So there's a person in each four corners of the neutral zone, and you sort of skate, and you do a give and go with all of them, and then you go on to the goalie. But again, quite a lot of standing around. That being said, some really nice passes in those give and goes. And just I was really feeling the puck on Friday, actually. I think I've talked about this before. Sometimes you just feel like, it's kind of doing what I want it to do. It's going where I want it to go. I can corral a pass. I can make a pass, take a shot, that sort of stuff. Oh, and I absolutely ripped one in a drill as well. So we then did effectively like a one-on-one drill. So, the first person went 1-on-0, but then you go and recover a puck from below the goal line, make a pass to basically make an outlet pass to someone else. Then you go on to defending. The other person takes it outside the zone, drives into the zone, and is 1-on-1. And the guy I was skating up against he's a Canadian. He's been skating since birth, essentially. Very, very competent on his legs. And I know he was giving me a little bit of extra room to be able to get the shot off, but I carried the puck in. I didn't panic. I went wide on my forehand, gave myself the room to shoot, and just ripped it top corner. And I literally couldn't believe it. And then I must have pulled like a crazy face, honestly. Just pure shock. And just joy, like it's those things where you're like, oh, that was just so sweet in terms of the placement. There was no stopping it. And I was just really happy with that. So did that, and then swept round, picked up the puck to then defend. And I actually did something I've never done before on this side of a defensive drill on a 1-on-1. And I don't really know what the move's called, and I probably should have Googled it before starting to record. But what I'm going to do is very awkwardly and clunkily take you through the description. So essentially, I obviously make this outlet pass to someone else. They have to exit the zone, come back in, and I've then got to defend from within the zone. So I'm skating forwards. My toes are pointing to the right, and at some point in my journey, I stop skating forwards. I almost do like I guess it's like a pivot, but you go like you're going forwards, and then you transition. And instead of going that, if you go, let's say one end of the rink to the other, I'm facing forwards, I'm skating forwards. And on that same plane, you then twist 180 degrees. So you're skating backwards and facing backwards. Well, I did for the first time in my skating journey. And this was unpracticed as well, essentially, because I think I practiced a few times, but not really. It's like I haven't honed a skill. But so I was skating forwards, and then I was facing forwards, and then as that person came into the zone, I was skating backwards and facing forwards. And I did that thing where you go like, let's say toes off to the right, and then you shift your body weight toes off to the left, and you kind of make that first C cut with your outside leg, the right leg in that case, and then I was skating backwards for a bit, and it allowed me to actually maintain a gap for much longer than I'm used to maintaining. My problem then is I'm not quite agile enough skating backwards to be able to, say, do a crossover or cut, or almost like position my body in a way I need to. I can skate backwards facing forwards, and I can slowly turn, but I can't really do that to cut off like sections of the ice. So that person ended up getting, say 2/3 of the way past me, and I sort of was a bit clunky, but then I had another go at it, and I maintained a bigger gap, and it actually helped me maintain that gap to the point at which that person wasn't able to get a shot off. So hugely proud of that. And that might be something so small and so trivial to people who've been skating a long time. But for me to pick up a skill that's almost unpracticed, unlearnt, and it was by feel, that was the thing I took away from that. Like I felt it happen, it felt right. I kind of knew what I wanted to do, and I did it. And I haven't really had many of those feelings while skating lately, if at all, over the last, what's probably been 6 months of effort now. So to get that kind of, I want to do this, oh, I've done this feeling, and it wasn't massively fast. Obviously, I can't even stop on my weak side properly. I can't hockey stop on my weak side. So it's never going to be like clearly I've still got a long way to go. But just feeling that motion, getting used to something I've not done before. Yeah, really, really proud of that. I came away with a big old grin on my face off that drill, and like told a couple of friends about it. It's the sort of thing that you think, you talk about goals and scoring goals or setting up goals, and even I, have spoken about loving the little things, and like I get excited about blocking shots, preventing attacking plays, getting sticks in lanes. But even just like, oh yeah, I pivoted, so I was skating backwards while facing the same way. Like but for me that was really big. And then in terms of the actual gameplay, so we then jumped into a scrim. It was decent. Big efforts. Again, my skating felt comfortable, which I can't always say, and I think I'm actually really proud of that. Again, like that's something that's new for me, to feel comfortable on my feet. There was one really nice moment actually where I pulled off a big effort back check to catch someone in the slot, and basically rob the puck off them with skating backwards, or not skating backwards, sorry, skating back to my own zone. I think it was I was just done a change or something, and I was like just booking it basically, and managed to get there. And it was the reason I bring this play up specifically is not because like that's anything different, but I got close to that player. Like I was skating at speed, got close to a player, lifted a stick, and stole a puck. That's not something I do quite often because I normally feel a bit tentative on my skates. So I give someone quite a broad range or like plenty of room. And that means that inevitably, because I've given that person so much room, I'm not there with the stick that's quite strong, or I'm not picking up the puck as actively. So that was something I spotted, and I was really proud of in myself. So I can take a lot of pride in that activity just in of itself. So yeah, like I say, that might not stand out as massively exciting for some people, but for me, yeah, hugely proud, really, really proud of that. A couple of nice plays, but there was nothing else from that session that really stood out as like I did something really exciting. But that actually means I think some stuff is getting normalized now. I'm making passes, I'm receiving passes, and I'm making the odd play here and there that I'm maybe not talking about because it's becoming normal. But yeah, so really pleased, really pleased. So the last thing I wanted to cover then is the game, essentially. Well, the second to last, but it's mostly the last thing I want to cover. So the game that the team I'm registered with, my rec league team, played. So I wasn't selected. I talked a bit about that last week, and it was a bit gutting. And it was disappointing because of effort. But you look at in terms of ability, like it's fair enough. I'll say that much. But I think that's a good sign. It means I'm competitive, and I know where I am in the pecking order in terms of pure ability. And so I know where I need to be essentially. But like in terms of work rate, like I've just got to keep pushing. up it another level essentially, and that's fine. That's absolutely fine. So anyway, had a really good time. I hopped on the team bus. So we rented a bus. It was an away game. It was a 2.5, 3 hour drive each way. So we rented a team bus, and there was a chap, so it's used by a local semi-pro team, and there was a guy who came with it who was awesome. So we really just asked him to give us a lift there and back, but he ended up like effectively being an equipment manager. And he was such a good egg. Knew where the service stations were to stop on the way home for the 24-hour McDonald's, which I didn't partake in, actually. I ended up getting my own for breakfast, and I'll explain why in a second. Anyway, so it was an 11 o'clock face-off in the evening, so we drove, I'd say the best part of 3 hours down in the bus with the guys. Got there for about 10, I guess it would have been. A bit of time to warm up, get dressed, sort out all the paperwork, and then take to the ice for everyone else, obviously. And actually, we had a really good contingent, probably about 10, 12 travelling fans, which was really cool. So family members, friends, other team members who didn't basically pass muster for this particular roster selection. But a really encouraging and healthy group of people, a really lovely group of people. Had a great time. And it was a tough match. So the team I've joined have only been a team now. This is the first season in the league. It's sort of half made up of team members from another team previously, who basically ended up split into two teams, I guess, for want of a better phrase, although it would have been not a full roster necessarily, but plus additions from other local teams, and a few of us newbies who have just started for the first time and joined our first team, which is awesome, really cool. It was a tough game for two reasons. One, it was a hard-fought loss, so it was on a scoreboard 4-3 loss. Led 2-0, fought back to 3-3 after conceding 3 consecutive. Had a disallowed goal in that, which absolutely should have counted. There's no two ways about it. It was a shot from in close that crossed the line, but the goalie knocked the goal off of its posts. It wasn't exactly. I don't know how to put it. How do you put it diplomatically when you think? Look, I'm not saying it was on purpose, but it didn't look very accidental. And rules of the game, that goal stands, but they call it dead. Even though the puck's crossed the line already, and they say it's not a goal. So those are the rules. That's the decision on the day, I suppose, and that's what you got to play within. And yeah, that was tough. Later, found out the game was forfeited due to someone on our team not being registered, which again is another layer of difficulty, another layer of disappointment. But at the end of the day, it is what it is, I suppose. And actually, for me, from my day out, it was great for a couple of reasons. So I want to talk about that more than I want to talk about necessarily just the game. But a couple of good goals, some really good efforts, some really nice plays. But the things that stood out for me is probably what I want to, I guess, lean on most, because what I wanted to do was go there to learn as well as support. The game was chippy. There was a scuffle after a couple of minutes. There was a lot of argy-bargy, players being quite vocal with each other, and you sort of think rec league, beer league stuff, is that going to happen often? The other team actually had some former semi-pro players on the team as well, so that gave us a bit of a disadvantage. We have none for frame of reference. This is probably the best team in the league that we're in, or the division we're in. They beat the second best team, who also we've played, and who beat us also. So a couple of close games though, and actually the team we played last night sort of said, yeah, that's the toughest game we've played in quite a while. So thank you, and like you'll be fine with the rest of the teams in the league, basically. And it was away, and the rink size was different, and that does make a difference to timing, to reading the game if you're used to playing on. So we play on a full Olympic size sheet in Cardiff, which is also gorgeous ice. This ice had barely been cut and was sort of 80% of the size of the rink of an Olympic rink, I would assume. Shorter, narrower, didn't quite look right, but that's just what you get used to, I suppose. And anyway, yeah. So I learned a lot about sort of the level of competition and the fight. Not physical necessarily, dropping the gloves. Although 2 of our players did get punched in the head with gloves on, and no penalties were distributed to the players that did that, which is kind of disgraceful. And that leans on to, I think, officiating is a little bit patchy, and I think you kind of got to recognise that and almost like kind of accept it and play within the rules, really. Because I mean, certainly from this game, one of our players had a cracked rib from getting speared, no penalty. One of our players had a cracked nose from getting body checked in the by the net front. Basically, went down face first into the ice, getting hit from behind. Not allowed within our league's regulations. We're a non-checking league. No penalty given there, despite bleeding from the nose, and later finding out that it was slightly broken. And there were multiple icings missed, only on one side. I'll say that much. So it wasn't great to be a part of that. But you can kind of see, okay, look, it's 2 referees that do it in their spare time. It's midnight on a Friday night in Slough. So look, at the end of the day, you have to play within the rules that you're presented with, and you can get pissed off and you can file a complaint and all that sort of stuff later. But I think I really learnt the value of keeping your cool. And one of our team members just held his nerve. At the end of the day, some guy walloped him in the face with a glove on. His mouthguard came out. He was chewing it, but his mouthguard came out. Picked it up off the ground, turned to look at the referee, and the referee called no penalty. And he skated away. Turned the other cheek, so to speak. And I think actually, he was pretty cool under pressure, and that really paid off. For his ability to influence the game and continue influencing the game. You turn around, you start mouthing off to the referee, and they put you in the box. We had someone get put in for 2 minutes for basically mouthing off, essentially. So, like it's going to happen. But I think those who keep their cool tend to be the ones that prevail. And the only time to really step in is when you're standing up for someone else, I think. If you can take it and you can handle it and you're like, look, guys, don't worry about it. But if someone can't stand up for themselves because they're down and hurt or whatever, that's when you go in and you have a word. That's sort of what I learned, I guess. And also how you do it, I suppose, not just having a word. It's who you have it with and how you say it, I think. But really chippy, really good game. And actually, like I say, both teams the team that won in the end said, hardest fought game we've had. So you've got to take that as a compliment with the quality of players they have in their team. And the fact it was a home game. So I took that away. That was really interesting. So the 2 parts so far there, it was chippier than I thought, and the officiating was hit and miss. And I guess you're going to get that. There were lots of awkward plays, bobbling pucks, stuff like that, and I think it's because the ice was hardly cut before we started, and then there was no cut during the game. 3 periods of 20 minutes without an ice cut is not good. I recognise that as well. You could see the build-up of snow by the benches, pucks bobbling sort of all along the edges of the rink. Not really what you want to see, but that's what there was. And so there was a lot of awkward plays. And actually, goals came from a couple of awkward plays or the slot. And that was basically the 2 bits I found when I was having a look, which was interesting, So, really just cool to analyse that from the outside and be like, okay, so that sort of gameplay, people maybe being a bit nervous, the edge to the game, whatever, all those things can influence the outcome. But there were awkward plays and broken plays and stuff like that led to opportunities. So if you can keep your cool and keep your structure, you're probably going to prosper, which is really interesting. And so much passion. Like the people that travelled with us to support the team, shouting, getting into it, cheering for goals. Like it was just, and the people playing, I say the reason it was chippy was because people cared. We were there 1 o'clock in the morning, 2 o'clock in the morning on a Friday, Saturday morning in Slough. People aren't choosing to be there and then half-arsing it. Like they are whole-arsing it. Absolutely. And it's so cool to see people put that level of effort in and that level of care in. So, yeah, really enjoyed being a part of that and seeing that. We actually had 3 injuries on the ice as well during the session. So I think a little bit of care is going to be required when I come around to actually stepping onto the ice. One chap on the other team actually broke his leg. We had a player with a cracked rib and a fractured nose. So, like I say, not doesn't fill me with stacks of confidence. I don't like injuries, my own or others. So it was a little uncomfortable, I can't lie. But I've talked about pushing comfort zones and pushing boundaries, and it's important for me to do that. And I think I'm going to do that within the realms of being comfortable and trying not to do anything silly, obviously. But yeah, so much passion, so much energy and effort. Like it was great to watch, and lovely to be a part of the team as well. Like on the bus, in the environment, everyone making us feel welcome. It was great. Yeah, really enjoyed it. And just like I say, I hope I'm going to try and get to many team games as possible, whether I'm playing or otherwise. And I hope to be able to get into one game this year, even if this is an alternate. I'd love to be an alternate for a league game or play a role in a friendly game or something. And the hope is that that can come around. So, but at the end of the day, if I've got to work damn hard and try and take someone's spot, then that's what I've got to do. And that's going to be easier said than done, that's for sure. Fitness levels, no weight loss this week. Couple of days missed on fasting just because of not feeling 100% well or being overly tired. I've done a lot of driving and a lot of travel in general lately, and I think I'm just starting to need a bit of recoup time. So this week was good for just chilling out for a bit. And I've just got a couple more steps to get my bike set up. It's almost there. And once it's back, I'm looking forward to getting out and riding it a bit more. Probably not this week because I've actually got weekend plans this week, which is a nice reminder for me to record an episode before the weekend comes around. But yeah, anyway, that's it really. That's how it's going. All I'll say for the next week is I think I've got one planned hockey session so far, and then a weekend away. Best mate stag do. So I won't be going massive onto the drinks anyway because I don't really fancy it. But I might take my running shoes up with me or something and get a bit of physical exercise in over the couple of days while I'm away, and we'll see how we go. Anyway, that's it. Thanks ever so much for listening. Obviously, the usual sort of stuff. Feel free to drop in some comments if you've got questions and all that sort of jazz. Follow along as I continue this journey. And yeah, until next time, have a great day wherever you are, and bye for now.